It's Tuesday, May the 6th, 2014, and this is the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch.
Morning, Bob. Hey, did you know yesterday was a holiday for Amsterdam?
Aside from Cinco de Mayo? Or?
No, I thought it was Sinkhole de Mayo, referring to the.
Sinkhole.
I thought it was referring to all the potholes we have in town.
Oh, dear. Well, it's generally that way around this time of year, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All righty.
All right, here we go.
I don't know.
What a day today is, huh? The sun's shining and
Yeah,
we're on the
it's
air.
beautiful.
Two best parts of the day here in Amsterdam.
Hey, you brought a clipping with you. Did you bring an agenda with you after last week's debacle?
No, it's not agenda. I picked something up out of the Sunday paper for you regarding one of your favorite movies of all time, Blazing Saddles. And it has listed 10 things you didn't know about Blazing Saddles.
I bet I did.
10 things everybody else in the world didn't know about Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I did know that James Earl Jones was originally offered the Cleavon Little part. I did know that. In a version to be directed by Alan Arkin. That I didn't know. Wow. You mean to tell me this project? How could that project be anything but Mel Brooks? Brooks quit when Warner Brothers refused to cast Richard Pryor. He wanted Richard Pryor to play the Cleveland Little part. And Richard Pryor would have been fine.
Yeah.
You know, another Richard Pryor in, what's his name, Gene Wilder movie.
Yeah. Silver Streak.
Silver Streak, they were great together. You can't top Cleavon Little. That was a great performance. What?
You know what this opens you up to?
What does that open us up
We're
to?
talking about a movie.
Oh.
All right, that's okay. Let's see. When shooting began, character actor Gig Young was playing the Waco Kid. Because he was in They Shoot Horses, don't they? What?
They do?
He was a recovering alcoholic? Yeah, so yeah, his real life I could see as a Waco Kid, but not as an actor. Oh, my God. So I had to send for Gene Wilder to replace him. They were actually shooting with Gig Young. Let's see, Gig Young and Richard Pryor. Gig Young and James Earl Jones. That works. Let's see. Madeline Kahn balked at showing her legs before playing Lily von Stoop. So it's that kind of an audition. All right, let's see. Richard Pryor urged Brooks not to hold back on using the N-word. Then, of course, he wasn't in the movie. Yes. Oh, like that's the most offensive thing in the movie. Yeah. Holy mackerel. After a sneak preview, Warner Brothers ordered them to eliminate all uses of the N-word and those flatulent sound effects. Well, that bean scene would have been pretty stupid without the sound effects, wouldn't it? Brooks assumed people would get the film's many cultural references, and too bad if they don't. Right? Right.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be pretty naive not to get them.
Badges. We don't need those stinking badges. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I think in that same scene for my next impression, Jesse Owens. Okay, so maybe a lot of people who weren't around in the 30s didn't get that, but those of us who got it, even if we weren't around
Not in the 30s, we understood it.
We understood it. Oh, cheapers. Frankie Lane did not realize Blazing Saddles was a comedy when they asked him to perform the song. Well, yeah, okay. you know, if you just have the song in front of you, it just sounds like a Frankie Lane title song. So. Warner Brothers almost didn't release the film at all. That I can understand. I mean, let's face it. It
pushed the boundaries.
It pushed the boundaries. Brooks thinks Blazing Saddles is funnier than Some Like It Hot. It is. Okay.
Yes.
Actually holds up better.
Alex Karras was pretty good in the movie,
Alex
too.
Karras is great in the movie. Mongol like candy.
Yeah. What a right cross he had on that poor horse.
No horses were injured in the making of this film. I think they started making those disclosure statements around that time.
I think Peter would have a hard time with that movie today.
Should tell you that the views and opinions expressed on WCSS are those of the host, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of the station, its management, the Cranesville Radio Network, or other hosts or advertisers.
But not all the hosts.
The content of each program is the sole responsibility of its producer. Jim, you're the producer today.
This week. Now, around town, there is some discussion about Jim's explanation of winemaking.
My explanation.
Your explanation of winemaking last
Yeah.
week. And a number of people are very disappointed that he cheated.
And
used
didn't
the
stomp
juice.
the grapes with his feet?
He used the juice. He bought that. He didn't even squish through other means his
Yeah.
own grapes. But other than that, they thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I have access to the equipment. My nephew has it all because he was making it from the grape.
Uh-huh.
And I'm too lazy to do the squeezing.
Now, I've never really made wine. I guess we did the grape juice in the balloon bottle trick one time. With, sitting under my brother's bed for a while, as I recall. But it's kind of close to the radiator, which helped. But now, when you use real grapes, when you stomp the real grapes, do the skins get used, or they get?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They just get pulverized.
Yeah. When you grind the grape, you grind the grape, and some people even leave them on the stems.
Yeah. Really.
My father used to leave them on the stems because he wasn't about to destem the grape.
The stem?
The big.
That was the first generation of doing it the lazy way. But you've refined the.
No, well, I refined it quite a bit because I just used the juice, let somebody else do the work.
Well, the more of the product you use, the more squeezing you get.
What does that mean?
Well, you get additional squeezing out of the skins. You crush it.
Yeah.
You put water in it.
Yeah.
You squeeze it again. You get it out. You can get some out of the stems.
You don't normally put water in it and squeeze them again.
No.
They call that they have the Aquata wine.
Well,
It's
obviously, if they call it something,
It must be.
somebody must do
well,
it.
they usually when they do that,
That's the kind of wine probably my family hasn't drank. Yeah.
they would usually use some sugar with it.
Well, that
And,
would make sense.
Maybe a
It
little bit of yeast.
improves the fermenting process. Yeah.
But it was interesting. I remember my dad used to make a couple barrels a year of wine.
I doubt if I've drunk a barrel in my lifetime.
Well, I don't think he drank a whole barrel either. Half of it was given away. Half of it was bartered. You know, I think I don't know. Did I mention it last week that he'd send me to the barber shop with a gallon of wine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For your haircut.
You get a haircut.
Haircut and a loaf of bread. Yeah.
That either must have been really expensive wine or really cheap hair.
Well, you had a lot more of it
I
back
got
then.
a lot more. hair,
That's the deal. Okay. Yeah, more.
I got to tell you, the podcast we did Friday got one whale of a lot of hits. And I can't explain it other than I had a guest host other than myself. It's the only thing I can explain.
I wonder if that would happen if we did radio like that.
Well, if I did radio, well, I suppose I could do radio. I used to do impressions. Yeah.
Used to? You used
Yeah,
to?
I used
I think
to.
you still do.
Here's just one more thing, Jim.
Well, that was good. It's probably a good thing you weren't there on Friday, considering the discussions that we had.
Oh,
You'd been a
well,
target for-
everybody was dumping on me. Wow. Yeah, but I think it's a rare thing to be singled out in a veto message. I mean, I think I've got the
Is that a record?
I got the veto message here. I think I'm going to frame it and hang it up. What? What? Oh, somebody wants to talk about wine, I guess. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
I believe that the second squeezing of the grape was called grappa.
Grandpa.
No, grappa.
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 Oh.
Grappa. Grappa.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that the quality of that wine was a little lower than the squeezing of the first?
No, it was
Definitely.
a little bit lower quality, but it was just as strong because they introduced it with a little sugar in it.
So it had just as much
Right,
alcohol,
right.
but not as much
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Well, what
You
the
drinking
heck?
it for the flavor anyways?
I don't know. Sure.
Okay, guys, go
All right.
ahead.
All right, appreciate
ma'am.
it. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Kind of what?
I don't know.
Drop. Well, I guess it's the same with olive oil. I guess you get the the first squeezing
First
is
squeezing is extra virgin.
Yeah, that's the best. Well, that's the extra virgin, I
That's
think,
the
right?
extra virgin. Yeah.
No.
You get 2 for 1.
What else you got to say, Elaine?
Oh, anyway. Anyway, we I guess is there common council meeting tonight?
Yes.
So there should be numerous important things happening. Perhaps an override of the veto. Maybe I'll get a
Mentioning that.
Maybe I'll get a non-paying job out of this after all. There's. I think I was kind of surprised to see this, but the golf course, the golf commission ordinance amendment, which they had previously dropped during the course of the lawsuit, has been restored.
It's back on, yeah.
And it looks to me, I don't have a copy of the old one before me. It looks to me to be the same one they previously withdrew. And the only the thing that's getting the most attention on the social media is the provision that members of the golf commission have to be dues-paying members of the golf course.
Which it would seem to make sense.
Well,
Well, yeah, but I don't.
but
not
why
necessarily.
limit it yourself?
Yeah.
First of all,
If you got somebody who's experienced in running a committee or an organization,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, I mean, there's only like 100 and something members at this point, so you're really limiting it. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I certainly believe that you should have people on there who are interested in maintaining and improving the golf course. I mean, that would seem to be fundamental,
Yeah.
and that has been the farthest thing from Mayor Thane's mind in making these appointments, as far as I can tell. The golf course is quite secondary. It's the revenue stream is all that matters, if that. So
at this point, I don't even think that matters. To
I
me.
don't think that matters all that much. I think it's more like who wins and who loses. And if
Partisan
you don't,
politics.
And if you don't agree with me, you're not. Well, in any event, the local law that amended the city charter 30-some years ago specifically permits the Common Council to adopt an ordinance establishing a golf commission. It says that in black and white. Okay? So the Common Council has full authority to make the ordinance any way they want. There was some discussion in the lawsuit that perhaps that local law was not properly adopted 35 years ago. I don't know whether that's so or isn't so. I don't even know if there are records that would even tell you that. But it's been in the charter, and the charter's been reaffirmed by the codification process. And I think you have to assume that, absent anything to the contrary, you have to assume that it was properly adopted. That being said, they can put whatever they want in it. And the way they've provided for it is to set up a commission to run the golf course. They've essentially scratched the old one. And they're going to have 7 members, plus a non-voting alderman. 5 of the members be appointed by the Common Council, 2 appointed by the mayor, all with the approval of the Common Council. In other words, they have the right to essentially not approve the people the mayor is appointing. I assume they would approve the people they are appointing.
Right.
I mean, that would seem to make sense.
Well, at this point, I don't know if that would make sense.
All members shall serve without pay and without any fringe benefits at the golf course. That was always a bone of contention over the years. Some people thought the golf commission members, this is years ago, golf commission members were getting, free membership or free beer at the bar or something. I don't know. People are always complaining without actually knowing anything. But all right. So the controversial part is, as I say, is that it seems to me they ought to dump that section. If they want to appoint people who are all dues-paying members of the golf course, they already have the power to do that. Okay? They have the power in this ordinance. If a future Common Council, in its collective wisdom, decides that they want somebody who's not a particular person who's not a dues-paying member, suppose it's somebody who's been golfing for 40 years and no longer can golf for physical reasons, right? And there are a lot of those people out there. Does that mean they don't know anything about how to run a golf course or how it should be run? Of course not. And they would be, in any event, it only comes into play if a future Common Council disagrees on a particular appointment and wants somebody outside of, and they have the power to change the ordinance. If they have the power to appoint somebody, they have the power to change the ordinance. So,
Right.
so why cause the controversy for nothing? Because it means nothing practically, other than tying. I mean, they can't tie the hands of a future council anyway. They can only tie their own hands, and they've already decided what they want to do. So let them do what they want to do. Appoint all members of the of the golf course, dues paying or whatever it is. But I think I think it's foolish for them to be getting hung up on that issue. It's not that important. So dump it. That's my thoughts. But I certainly agree with the concept that people who have an interest in the golf course should be the people who are on the commission. I mean, you'd think that would go without saying, and yet we don't have that. Anything else on that subject?
That's just about covers everything with the golf course so far until this meeting is over tonight. No. Well, no.
Well, this is for introductory purposes, which means that it's just going to lay on the table. They're not voting on this tonight. They're setting a date for a public hearing on the ordinance, and I'm sure some people will have some things to say at that. And then they can amend it and they can vote on it and whatever. It will be vetoed, and then they'll come back and override the veto. But then it'll be September. So
You can't veto
well, you can veto an order. Yeah.
an introduction.
Oh no, you can't veto an introduction.
all right,
No. I'm saying if they ultimately pass this ordinance, then it's still subject to the mayor's veto.
And then it can be overridden by the vote of the Common Council.
That's right.
Exactly.
And then it becomes law.
Then it becomes law. But which reminds me, there was I thought a rather foolish editorial. I mean, I understand they were trying to be cute, and I got no problem with that. But basically, the editorial was assuming that after the council overrides the veto appointing me to the Charter Commission and appointing the Charter Commission, that the mayor could refuse to sign. Well, it doesn't matter. The mayor doesn't have to sign that. There's nothing to sign. I mean, there is a thing to sign to return it to the city clerk, but the charter is very specific that the mayor can veto it, the council overrides, and it becomes effective. It does not require the mayor's signature to do anything. The city clerk is sitting right there. She's taking the votes, and all she has to do is record it as having passed. That's all that matters. It becomes law. There's no double veto. And there's no question about that. I mean, even if there was something of a question about the matter with the signing the contract, which there wasn't much of because there were about 300 cases that all said the same thing. But this isn't even a ministerial act. The mayor is not required to sign it at all. Okay, there's no contract with me or anybody else. So that's that. So I thought, I don't know. Like I say, had a new reporter on the job. It was her first day on the job, working into that.
Lucky her.
And I'm sure one of the editors fed that into her. But in any event, let's see. Number 2, another introduction tonight, and this is gonna cause a lot of squawking.
And this is
A local law revising City Code Chapter 73, Animals, Article 3, Fowl Control.
I think they'd be chicken not to vote on this.
So again, this is laid out to be laid out on the table, and they're
when I saw that resolution, I thought it was a joke. I really did.
You thought it was April 1st.
I thought it was April.
well, no. Somebody came to the Common Council and said, I'd like to have 4 chickens in my backyard. So they came up with a local law allowing people in certain zones to have 4 chickens under certain conditions, which include a permit.
No roosters.
I like living in the city. I like, I kind of like the culture that cities bring and the
The ambiance.
and all that. I think I'd be very lonely way out in the country. Of course, where I live, I get the best of both because I have no neighbors.
Nobody wants to climb that hill.
Nobody wants to climb the hill. I've only had 2 Jehovah's Witnesses in all the 33 years I've been there. One was last week, by the way. So this is.
They must have been new ones.
Yeah. They don't tell. The first day on once you've done George Street, you can do anything. Where was I going with this?
Where you live and the chickens. And
about living in the city. The one thing I dislike the most about city living is the more you compress people together, the more people are inclined not to mind their own business. Everybody wants to control what the neighbors do, whether they do it through the zoning laws or whether they, whatever it is. It's like, hey, mind your own business, folks. Unless it's affecting you directly, don't tell the guy next. A couple of examples in my own neighborhood.
Such as it is.
Such as it is. Up the street, not very far, for ages, on one of these long vacant lots in the city, a local contractor has kept some of his contracting supplies, building materials and sand, and comes in once. I don't think I've actually seen him there 5 times in the 30-some years we've lived there. Hey, it was in violation of the zoning ordinance. Probably as long as he'd been there, it'd been in violation. Who cares? It's not bothering me. It's not bothering the guy next door. It's not bothering anybody. Nobody complained about it, but somewhere along the line, somebody came in and who probably didn't even live nearby, and then he had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get approval, and I don't think anybody objected, and it's still there. I could care less. If he comes with a pickup truck once in a while and throws some sand on the back of it, what? Does that bother me? No, it gives me something to look at out the window, Another, fairly near neighbor has operated a mail order business out of his house. That's an R1 zone, and it's technically not permitted. And the only thing you see out of this is the UPS truck stops a lot at his house, or did. I don't know if he's still doing this. That doesn't bother me. It's not like. It's not like it's Macy's on a Saturday night.
It doesn't disrupt the neighborhood.
It doesn't disrupt.
For a truck coming up the street.
Look, so once my daughter came back home to live with me and started doing all her purchases through Amazon, etc., the UPS truck was stopping more at my house than it was at his house. So, so what's the difference?
Yeah.
Who's it bothering? Not bothering me. So that's where I am. I'm that kind of live and let live guy. This whole poultry ordinance, as we discussed, I don't know whether here or on the podcast, I forget, but there was certainly a time when everybody had animals. When the Amsterdam was first founded, of course, everybody had cows. You had a village green even, I think, up on High Street someplace where people could pasture their cows that they used, for their daily milk, etc. Everybody had chickens at one time because that was primary source of food.
Yeah.
And and I related how, I had friends who had chickens within the city limits, certainly well within my lifetime, that I would go visit, and they'd have the chickens in the backyard. I don't remember any problem.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we had chickens in the backyard.
You know when it became a problem?
When did it become a problem,
It became
Bob?
a problem when there was a particular family that had chickens that were from out of the area, and they were not part of the old neighborhood, and they came in and
They're not one of us?
They're not one of us.
They were new people in the area.
There were new people. Actually, they were pretty. They were not Puerto Rican. Okay, this is not what I'm talking about. There wasn't an ethnic thing, but they were kind of Appalachian types. Seriously, okay, they would fit in very well in West Virginia someplace. And they were ultra. They were that's the French for other. They were they did not fit into the general milieu.
Yeah.
They had their own way of doing things, and they had chickens. And so we had to stop that. When this ordinance was adopted, the ordinance prohibiting fowl,
1964.
1991.
Ooh.
That's how recent it is. This has only been in effect for I don't know how many years is that. 20 something.
Yeah, 20 to 3.
23 years. All right. Somewhere around 23 years it's been in effect. That's nothing.
Up until then, you could have chickens in town.
Chickens and turkeys and ducks and yeah. But
no pigs.
we had this. Well, I don't know when they did away with the pigs. Pigs used to be. There used to be an ordinance against the pigs running loose down the middle of the street, but I don't know when they got rid of the fowl. I'd have to look at the whole animal chapter, and all I've got here is the fowl section of it. All right, so now we go on and on. So now we got this proposed local law amending the ordinance. Okay, so who's allowed to have a chicken? A resident of a single-family home in an area zoned R1 may be granted a permit to keep chickens as specified below. Maybe. Will, not shall. Maybe.
Some will say yes, and some will say no.
First of all, the permittee shall pay an annual fee established by resolution of the Common Council. So if you want to raise chickens, you have to have a fee. I don't know if you're
What's that fee going to go for?
They don't say
It
that.
depends on who the neighbor is.
That's right.
If you really don't like him, it's going to be a high fee. If he's a friendly guy, you make it $10, $15.
The permit shall only be granted on consent of the property owner. Now, I don't know why that's in there.
Yeah.
Well, because I could be renting my single-family home out.
No, I understand that.
That's why I have to get permission.
I understand that. But if you're the owner of the property,
You can tell the guy.
you can deal with your own tenant any way you want.
right.
You don't
No,
need the
yeah,
city's.
yeah.
You can tell him he can't have a cat or a dog. So why can't you say you can't have a chicken?
See, the proposed facilities for the chickens shall be specified in detail in the application. This sounds like applying for a liquor license. You ever see the form for applying for a liquor license? So you have to have architect's drawings and elevations and this and you have to measure how far you are from the nearest church and all kinds of stuff, door to door. No permit shall be granted without approval by the animal control officer.
So there's another check as part of the balance.
It sounds more like a check, period. I don't know if there's any balance to it. The approval shall not be granted if the keeping of chickens is likely to create a nuisance for neighbors or if the proposed facility does not comply with this article. Okay. Well, obviously, they're not going to grant it if it doesn't comply. All right. No permit shall be granted to an individual who has a previous violation of any provision of this article. Oh, this is tough.
So if you've had chickens before and you couldn't have chickens, you can't have chickens now, even though you can have chickens.
Correct.
Okay.
C, the permittee shall comply, permittee, that's the person getting the permit,
Okay.
shall comply with the following. The maximum number of hens shall be 4. No roosters shall be allowed. That guarantees the maximum number of hens. I would think.
Those poor chickens.
Hens are to be confined so as not to allow free pasture. Well, wait a minute. I thought isn't
gotta
isn't
be
the trend? Don't you want like organic chickens, free range chickens, eggs from free range chickens, or whatever? or maybe they're not allowed to have eggs. I don't
Well,
know.
how big is this enclosure supposed to be?
Well, no, we'll get there.
oh, we're getting. Oh, okay.
Wait.
All right.
I think. I thought so. Maybe not. Pens and runs are to be kept clean. No, this is an interesting typo. Pens and runs are to be kept clean so there's no perceptible odor at property lines.
They mean odor?
Officer, why did you barge onto private property and seize these chickens? I was only following orders. Feed for hens must be stored in an impermeable container to avoid attracting pests and natural predators of the hens.
Well, how do the hens get it then if it's impermeable?
I don't know. I guess they're not allowed to eat either. I mean, it seems to me once you scatter the food out
It's
of the
permeable.
it becomes permeable at that point, right?
You have to feed them out of your hand, and once they're done feeding, you got to put the leftover back in the bag.
There's no leftover. Obviously, you've never had chicken. Pens must be no closer than 25 feet from adjacent property lines. Well, most lots in the city, that would put you like right in the middle of the.
Right in the middle of the house.
Well, yeah. Yeah, for many, it'd be like right out the middle of the house, immediately in back of attached to the house, practically for most people. Okay, the permittee, by applying for a permit, consents to the inspection of the property at any time by city officers. Okay, officials or employees to verify compliance with all permit conditions and requirements of this article. So they don't even have to be following orders. Penalties for offenses. No person. This is actually from 1997. No person shall keep or house fowl without a permit in any structure. A violation of this article may result in the confiscation of the fowl, usually around Thanksgiving time, and a fine of not more than $250, imprisonment for not more than 15 days, or both such fine and imprisonment. Wow.
So you can have chickens on your property.
Yeah.
You can raise them in your house, or in the basement, or in the attic. It doesn't say anything you can't have them in your building. It's in the middle.
As long as you're 25 feet from anybody else.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I know.
Wow.
But it doesn't say how big or how small the enclosure is supposed to be.
It does not. That's interesting. And it does distinguish between an enclosure and a run. In other words, you can let the
You
chicken.
can't run in an enclosure?
Well, I would assume an enclosure has a roof, whereas a run might not.
You're assuming facts, not in evidence.
No, I'm attempting to define the terms,
Of which are not in evidence.
which also are not known. That's quite correct.
I object.
Overruled.
Now, do we know what ward this gentleman
Noted.
or family is from that initiated this?
I think they're in the first ward, but I'm not absolutely positive of that. But again, it can only be one family home in an R1 zone. So, presumably there are some places
And
where...
an R1 zone is what?
Residents?
Only.
Did they just buzz me?
No, I didn't hear a buzz.
Oh, okay.
Must be your
Well,
hearing is going or coming.
I thought I heard a buzz. All right. Okay. So what was the question?
An R1. What's the other zoning? R1 is just
There's
residential.
R1 is basically one family home district, but it's possible that you can have a two-family home, a non-complying two-family home in an R1 zone. So that's why it's distinguishing that. In other words, not just because it's an R1 zone, you also have to be a one-family house. Now, as As one of our local political philosophers pointed out, he lives in a one-family house in an R3 zone.
I was going to say, you know,
But that's not
can't
allowed.
do
that's
that.
not allowed.
Can't do that.
You can't do that.
So because it's more offensive in an R3 zone. I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, what would the reasoning be? If the distance from the property lines is exactly the same, why would you distinguish between the zones?
An R3 zone is you can have multiple dwelling houses. You can
Yeah.
have a business.
Right.
You'd have to have a multiple dwelling chicken coop then.
Well, that's true. It could be like
There you
the
go.
Pueblos up.
That's right. Yeah, multi-level.
That's the reason. They don't want you to have two levels.
No, but I mean, really, his point is well taken. Assuming his lot is big enough to fit in his compliance, fit in compliance with this, what earthly difference would it make that he's in an R3 zone instead of an R1 zone? He has a one-family house. Assume he has a large enough lot. He may not, but assume he does, and it's altogether possible. Why couldn't he have chickens? I mean, you're putting the chickens in the most restrictive zone, the R1,
Right.
but not allowing them in the other zones.
I think you're putting the chicken before the coop now, Bob.
Well, I think you're putting the quart before the hearse.
Hey, we'll be able to find out Friday, and we can discuss this on the podcast because we'll know the result.
No, we won't, because this is just laid out
Introductory.
for introductory purposes.
Okay, so you have to go to another.
Yeah, another
One more
meeting
meeting.
before they could vote on it, and
Then you got to wait.
and then if they amend it, then you have to wait again because it has to lay on the table again if you amend the local law.
And then you have to give the mayor time to veto or not veto. So this isn't going to happen before June
Exactly.
or July.
Well.
We'll have eggs for Thanksgiving.
Well, as they say in France,
might.
one egg is enough.
Say that again.
As they say in France, one egg is enough.
I know.
Well, if you don't remember your high school French, you won't get the
No, I
joke.
don't remember my high school French.
The word for egg is oeuf. OEUF.
I
So
thought that
so
was-
one egg is an oeuf.
Is one egg.
I thought that was when somebody hit you in the gut. You went,
Oh, anyway. So there we go. I don't know how contrary. A lot of people in the social media have been chattering about should we have hens or shouldn't we have hens? I think the sound of a rooster at 4 in the morning is one of the sweetest sounds in the world.
it
But
is
we're not talking
if
about
you're
roosters.
already up.
I know we can't have a rooster.
No.
Otherwise, you might have more than 4 hens.
Those poor chickens.
Why 4? Yeah. Whereas Chico Marx said, why a duck?
You know why 4?
Why?
Because that's how many the guy wanted to have.
Yes, I know. That's.
And if he wanted 5, it would have read.
It would have read 5.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
Well,
think
maybe
you're right.
how many eggs does a chicken give in a day? 1 egg each.
I think 1 a day, isn't it?
One a day.
One a day?
That's a multiple vitamin.
So
Okay.
it'll-
Maybe,
That was a
maybe.
buzz.
So it'll take them a week to get a dozen.
All right. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, Bob,
Yes.
I try to get on since you were talking about Mickey Rooney.
Yes.
Remember when he passed away?
Yes.
Well, I got a story for you. We had a waitress in the 50s. Her name was Margaret Dildine, and her maiden name was
Mickey Rooney.
I'll think of that in a minute. Anyway, she was in the chorus line with Joan Crawford,
Really?
and she used to babysit for Mickey Rooney. Take him to
Holy
St.
mackerel.
Patrick's.
And
Take
she,
him to St. Patrick's Church
wow.
when he was a little kid.
And she was right here in Amsterdam, New York, huh?
Yeah, and her brother Gilligan was a plumber. Her maiden name was Gilligan,
Oh, there you go. Okay.
and they lived. I think they lived on the south side. I think. Well, they had Gilligan had a daughter that married Bob Costello, and he passed away. Well, he's gone, but then she was going with Dufresne, I think, Duke, after, I don't know.
Well,
But Peg, we call her Peg, she was a little girl and a little woman and a live wire, and she worked for us for a few years. This was in the 50s.
wow. I can't imagine having been in the chorus line with Joan Crawford. We got to be going back to when Mickey Rooney was about 2 years old, maybe.
Yeah, well, she was old when she worked for us in the 50s, so she had to be in her 60s or close to 70.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is, yeah.
You know, during the war, Mickey Rooney, a lot of the guys from Amsterdam got to meet him because, you know, he I think they wouldn't let him in because of his height or something. And then, whatever it was, he flunked the physical. He tried to get in the regular army. And finally, they did put him in the special services where they'd go around entertaining the troops. He was in uniform. He was getting army pay, but his main job was to just be Mickey Rooney. And he'd play the drums and do his imitations.
Yeah.
And
he played everything.
Yeah, he played about 12 instruments. Yeah.
Well, you know, our restaurant started in 1923, and we were one of the few restaurants that, put out dinners. And Fielding J. O'Kelly was manager of the Rialto Theater.
Sure.
And he used to bring some of the acts down to the restaurant to eat. So we had Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Wow, and she was another child star. Yeah.
Yeah, and Buddy Ebsen.
Wow.
He was a dancer.
Buddy Ebsen played the Rialto?
Yep.
Wow.
Jack Dempsey's wife. I can't think of her name right now, but she played. And do you remember Jack LaRue?
Sure.
He came in and I remember he left the waitress $25 or 25-cent tip.
Oh, okay. Yes. My heart almost stopped there. Yeah. Nobody in vaudeville left $25 tips from what I've heard.
So
you're lucky if you still had your silverware.
Yeah, I see them. And there were a few others. So that he used to bring them down the place. He
used to book the big acts. I mean, he had Burns and Allen, and Jack Benny played the Rialto. Yeah,
a lot of them. And who else? Anyway, well, there was another guy from Johnstown, Mr. Cromer. He used to bring the signs into the stores and everything about the. He worked for Shines.
Yeah.
So when he used to come with his family to eat, he always left me passes. He'd give free passes out, It used to be like 35 cents or something, I think.
What are you saying? You never paid for a movie, Sam?
Oh, I did. I did, but...
I didn't. I never paid for a movie. Rappello's
I got to tell you another thing. You were talking about making wine.
Quickie quiz is how I went to the movies.
You were talking about making wine?
Yes.
Well, in 1961, I had the S&K Delicatessen on Guy Park Avenue, and it was where Betts' driveway is now. There used to be Patterson's had a store in there. They sold candy and everything. Well, they went out of business and everything. I rented the store and I had a deli. Well, Dusty Miller used to come in.
Okay.
And we talked. He had to take care of I had a cigarette machine, and I talked broken English to him. So he said, "Gee, you got to come on my program." So I was on WCSS in 1960, and we made up one about making wine, and my name was Tullio Porcello, and anybody had any problem, they called me, and I fixed everything up. So anyway, he said, "You look like you got a trouble." I said, "I got a bigger trouble. My brother, Dominic, in the old country, he said he run a bigger wine factory where they smash the grapes in the tubs, with a woman. They do the old-fashioned way." So he called me because if he don't think of something fast, he's going to lose his job. And he got 14 kids and he can't afford to have no work. So I make a faster trip on the airplane and to see my brother. And I think of something quick to make the woman make the wine more quick. So I watch where they work. They jump up and down, up and down. And I think to myself, well, they got a new twist of dance in America. If I can teach the woman to do that twist, the juice is more better from the grapes. And they work more faster, too. So he says, how'd you make it? Well, they work so good they're making my brother president of the whole company. And that was just nonsense. Well, I did about
Oh, dear God.
5 or 6 of them.
Were you just making this up as you went along, or what?
I go to his house, and then we come up with something, and,
Yeah.
Like we do
and
here.
then we do it.
Except we don't prepare anything here.
Yeah,
but
no. Why
Yeah.
would you-
That's a great story.
I got another quick one if you want.
Sure.
We did one. The government called me. He said, "What happened this week?" I said, "Well, he looked tired." I said, "I'm tired." He said, "Bet your life I'm tired." I said, "These astronauts over there, they go on a spaceship. They're sick and tired that they smash your food and they push it through the tubes. So everybody in this country they like a spaghetti. So they can't find a way to pass it through the tube without getting stuck. So they call me because they hear about my secret recipe for the slippery sauce. You see? So what happens? So I go to Capo Canaveral, whatever you call it over there, and I talk to the old engineers and scientists over there, and I make the slippery sauce, and so we try. And he said, "How did it make out?" I said, "Oh, the spaghetti they pass it through good, but boy, oh boy," I said, "to make the meatball to go through, I had to put lots of that." And so that was it. I talked it off.
Sam, that's terrific. That is absolutely terrific. All right, we're going to have to work out a few more of these routines. Oh, my God. That was better than Guido
take care.
Sarducci.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
The reason I called, too, was because I've been trying, since you were talking about Rooney, and I called the number, and I get a busy signal all the time. And there wasn't anybody on.
Yeah,
So I just wanted you to know, so maybe people are trying to get on and can't.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. Sometimes I don't press the buttons right.
Yeah. All right.
right.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, say hello to my friend Jim. I told him next time you got to do my recipe. Get the. And besides, you got to be a woman. Got to be way over 200 pounds.
And do the twist. Thank you. Take
You're going
care.
to do the new twisted dance, boy. You'd be surprised how fast they go. All righty, goodbye.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Take care, Sam.
Wow. Wow. That was great.
Yeah, I had no idea that Chubby Checker was responsible for the wine increase
Yeah.
in the 1960s. Oh, my God.
Oh.
He's
Oh, wait, is he still on?
Yeah. No, somebody else is.
somebody else.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hi, Bob. You should have that fella on your show every once in a while.
Well, he's on all the time, but he's never been funny before.
Oh my God,
He's usually
it's a
so
wonderful
serious.
program.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
Great.
that's
Thank you.
that was Sam Pep Jr. by the way, in case
Oh,
you
okay,
didn't recognize him. Bye-bye. Oh God, it's like the
He's got $1 million. He's
oh
got $1
man,
million.
it's like those who was that guy? Pat Cooper.
Yeah.
Pat Cooper used to do the.
The
No, his name
accent.
like Pat Cooper. How he did an Italian?
Yeah,
dialect. I don't know, but geez, he had one that was right on. It was just like listening to my grandmother. He talks about bringing. He goes to college and he brings a girl home, and she's Polish, right? And Mom, how do you like to? Hey, she's of our faith. What the heck, she's a nice girl. I like her. Yeah, good. Next time he brings home a Jewish girl. Okay, so she's not of our faith, but she believes in God. She seems like a nice girl. That's great. Third time he brings home an Italian girl, and the mother says, what part of Italy does she come from?
That's right. It made a big difference back then.
And I've heard my grandmother say exactly the same thing. And, I was talking about this one girl. What part of Italy do they come from? Well, I said I don't know where. I don't know whether their one grandparent. I don't know where he's from. The other one, but the other one comes from Rome. That's because my grandmother was Northern Italian, and she, you can't talk about the Bassa Italia, and anything. I said, but they're from Rome. That's not South. She says, everybody comes from Rome. Where did they come from before that? That's what counts. Where did they come from before they came to Rome?
Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, what part of Italy? You think of Italy as Italy. It is so. I mean, you see, there's a big thing. The people of the former Republic of Venice want to secede from the Italian Republic.
Well, they do.
I mean, Italy's only been united for like 140 years or 120 years, something like that. Garibaldi, and even now it's not completely united. We were in the Swiss part or the Italian part of Switzerland. Right? I was going to say the Swiss part of Italy. The Italian part of Switzerland. All right. Everybody's speaking beautiful, fluent Italian. We're in an Italian restaurant overlooking this beautiful mountains and this lovely lake with boats on it. And I had consulted the map, and I realized that I could actually see the Italian border from where I was. So I said to this very Italian waiter, who is Swiss.
Waiter,
I said, is that Italy over there? And he looks at me and he says, the lake is in Switzerland. So they had the, it was really interesting because they had the Italian charm and the Swiss work ethic. I mean, the two you would think are completely divergent, but in the Italian part of Switzerland, it works. So. The fact that they speak the same language as the people across the lake means nothing to them. Absolutely nothing. What makes you wonder about this Russian-Ukraine thing? So sometimes these things develop, notwithstanding their cultural heritage, they develop, raison d'etre of their own. That's twice I've used French, or 3 times maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So anyway, people are funny. Wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go. What part of Italy does she come from?
Even if you don't go anywhere.
That's right. Hair today, goon tomorrow.
Wow. Anyway, so I don't know. I haven't got a lot of feedback from the show Friday. A lot of people, as I say, watched it.
Yeah.
An incredible number watched it. More than watched the Philip Tambasco shows.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're talking triple digits.
So I don't know. But the only actual feedback, well, I got 2 people put a thumbs up and 1 put a thumbs down. That doesn't tell me, that doesn't tell me a lot.
Can't tell which digit,
only kind of really actual comment I got was one of my regulars writes to me, you're insane. I said, oh.
Thank you for noticing.
What's his point?
I don't know. Yes. I know. So I don't know. So maybe by Friday I'll be on a charter commission.
Maybe.
So what did we gain by this veto? Just
Power.
Lost another 15 days. That's all.
It's trying to assert her power and how much power she has.
Yeah.
And that's all it amounts to.
So now,
because nothing's getting accomplished.
So now my commission has got to complete its work earlier, in less time than we had planned, and actually earlier because you have to allow time for her vetoes and overrides to be built in. So now instead of getting it done by the end of August, we really should be looking to get it done by the end of July.
Right.
To allow the Common Council time to put it on the table, vote on it, get vetoed and override, and then put it on the ballot. Well, Well, we'll see. And maybe we won't have anything to say after all. Nothing wrong with the charter
Nobody understands?
that four hens couldn't take care of. And I really don't have any, firm feelings on this local law whatsoever. It really should be an ordinance, and that's all right. I'll make it a local law. I'll make it a local law. I don't care.
Now, did you know? I bet you don't. But Jim does. That next week, the show with no name will have an official sponsor.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah.
That's right.
Tony Sentai's Crystalline Forest will be the official sponsor of the show with no name.
Is that right?
That's right. Absolutely.
I am very biased. He's got the best pizza in town.
He has wonderful pizza. And he has gluten-free pizza as well.
That's right. And that's good for you.
I'm able to eat commercial pizza again.
That's right.
And it's wonderful. It's really
Yeah.
really good.
And I hate to buy it. I hate to get it because I'm only supposed to have one piece,
And you can't.
and I end up eating half the pie.
Can't just have one.
I can't just have one.
And you're not talking 6 slices either, are you?
Yeah, I am.
No, I mean a 6 slice. You're talking a 12
A 12 cut.
Yeah.
12 cut, and you're eating 6 of them.
And
No.
well, the last week we had it, I only had 2.5 pieces because
Because you had the family over. Hey, by the way, that was a nice picture you posted on Facebook the other day of the family in the kosher.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
You touch up real good.
yeah.
Thank God for Photoshop.
I had 2 sisters that couldn't make it too. So,
Oh.
well, one of them is 97, so
Wow.
so
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
it was. We try to do that at least once a year.
Yeah?
In her case, she's done it 97 times.
97. Well, I haven't been doing it for 97 years.
Oh, even though she has.
But it's always a good day.
That's terrific. Okay. And then they put the Chubby Checker records on, and we got enough wine to last into the next millennium. Okay.
Yes.
Well, thanks for listening. I'm Bob Going with Jim DeKosha and Gavin Murdoch. We'll be back next Tuesday on the radio, and of course on Friday with our podcast, which probably won't be on the air till Saturday because it really screws up my internet. So I try to load it in the middle of the night now. And this has been the show with no name. This is WCSS 1490 on your dial in Amsterdam, New York.
Fire trucks
Yes.
and the bad streets that are
Very true.